What's good, everybody? It's the Clown and Cab Show. Shout out to Francis Ngannou going from MMA to boxing. Boxing, one of the best boxers in history right now, the undefeated Tyson Fury. And really, I think Francis Ngannou got robbed here. I think the whole MMA community can agree with that and say, look, we thought Francis won this fight. Fair and square, it was only a 10-round fight. I wish it was a 12-round fight or like the old school way, a 15-round fight. But I just think Tyson Fury got outworked here. I think what saved Tyson Fury ultimately was his jab. I mean, he kept utilizing his jab throughout the fight, but we saw a really great glimpse of what Francis Ngannou can do, not just in boxing, but MMA. I mean, Francis Ngannou landed more power punches, 37 to Tyson Fury's 32 power punches. And we remember in third round, Francis Ngannou hit him with that left hook that really made Tyson Fury fall down. So, we look at this fight and say, wow, there was, Francis really, I think Francis, they should have gave him the dub. But obviously they would never do that. They would never let an MMA guy come in and just outclass, the heavyweight champion of the world in Tyson Fury. They said, no, we're not going to give Francis Ngannou the dub because we know what's at stake here. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. He hasn't lost a fight. And really, Tyson Fury lost this fight, dude. And I'm not a boxing expert, but just watching the fight, looking at it from just stylistic way and just like looking at it from that angle and just saying, hey, Francis Ngannou really just outworked him. Yes, I understand, Tyson Fury, his movements weren't the same as they are, especially with the Wilder fight. It looked like, Tyson Fury did not really train well, didn't have a good training camp, looked kind of, out of shape in a way. He always looks overweight, fat, but I just think looking at it, it was just like, man, like Tyson Fury kind of got exposed here, and really Tyson Fury, he landed 71 total shots out of 223. And then Francis Ngannou landed 59 of his 231 attempts. So, there's a little difference overall punches. But I'm saying just to control the fight, and we look at Francis and say, wow, like there were some rounds where Francis just outclassed Tyson Fury, where it was just like clearly Francis won this round. Clearly Francis won round 3 when he got the knockdown. That was probably a 10-8 round there. So it's like, for Tyson Fury only won by 1 point by a split decision. And I'm thinking, how, dude? Like, all the fans, everybody on the media, social media, on X, they were saying, look, Tyson Fury lost this fight. Francis Ngannou won. I didn't watch it live. I had to watch it later. But at the same time, I thought for sure that, hey, Francis Ngannou proved to me that he can, fight with the best. And it proves to you that MMA is way better than boxing. It proves to me that boxing isn't really a real sport like that. What I mean by that is it's just not really, you can't use all the tools, man. Like, you can only use your 2 hands and just so many different rules in the boxing community where it's just like, wow, Francis came in, fought the heavyweight champion of the world, who came into this fight 33-0, who just looked flawless, who looked untouchable. Well, come round 3, he got knocked out. And really, it was just like, holy cow, like Francis Ngannou. I think if Francis Ngannou had, another year of this training, I think Francis Ngannou wins by knockout. I really do. Like, that's how, like, close this fight was. And it just makes sense where it's like, Francis, he's an MMA fighter here. He's not a true boxer. Just imagine if Francis Ngannou was a true boxer here, like boxing his whole life, kind of like how Tyson Fury did, like just everything boxing. He would have outclassed Tyson Fury. He would have made Tyson Fury look like he was a junior varsity in high school to Division I athlete, dude. Like, there's a difference there, right? From junior varsity to D1. Like, that's how it was. So I just think, man, like, how did Tyson Fury plot this win? Well, because it's the boxing community. They don't want him to take an L here. They don't want him to lose to Francis Ngannou. They're not even fighting for the belt right now. And now they have Tyson Fury scheduled to fight for the belt in a couple months. So it's just like, wow. And there was some parts of this fight where Tyson Fury threw an illegal elbow that landed on Francis Ngannou. They didn't call anything there. Like, I was just like, really? Like, how did they not call that? It's definitely an illegal elbow. I don't think he did it on purpose, but still, they should have took away a point or two for that. Like, really, I'm thinking, how? How's that, like, illegal move? Like, if Francis Ngannou threw that, like, dripping left hook elbow that landed on the nose, they definitely would have said something about it, especially to Francis, because he's the MMA fighter. He's transitioning into boxing, so many different rules. But I just think overall, Tyson Fury did not look like he was the heavyweight champion of the world. That's what this proved to me, that hey, just because of the rankings and all this stuff, oh, he's hasn't lost, but to me, in my eyes, he lost this fight, dude. Like, Francis Ngannou legit got robbed here. Like, the boxing community did not want him to win. That's why they gave it to Fury by 1 point, literally split decision. But why am I taking Francis Ngannou? Because he just controlled this fight. What I mean, he controlled the pace. Yes, there were some rounds where Tyson Fury controlled it, but I'm saying overall in general, the whole 10 rounds, I would say Tyson Fury controlled it, 6, 7 rounds to Tyson Fury 4 to 3 rounds. So that's why I would lean into Francis Ngannou and say, hey, Francis did this right compared to like Tyson Fury. But there was a lot of stars out there. Everybody watching it. Mike Tyson. We saw McGregor, Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo there. CR7. I think, for McGregor wise, it's just like, McGregor was one of the first guys to do this, right? To make this fight even happen. So without McGregor, this fight would have never happened, for Francis. So like Francis understands, hey, McGregor did it before me. McGregor weighed way more money than I did. They said, Francis made like what, 10 to 15 to 20 mil, somewhere around there. I mean, that's great money, right? But compared to McGregor and Mayweather made like 400 million to like McGregor made like over 100 M's. So there's definitely a huge difference there financially wise. But for Francis, where he came from, where he started, man, like he just never gave up. And Francis Ngannou's story's quite amazing, man. Like he was just really nobody. Like he tried to escape his hometown many times, failed, and then finally ended up escaping and going to MMA gym. So that really changed Francis Ngannou's life, man. This was back in like 2013, like before people who knew who Francis was. So like Francis overcame so much adversity in his life. I think him fighting this fight wasn't that much adversity, like his hardest adversity in his life. Absolutely not, dude. Francis Ngannou's hardest adversity was escaping where he came from, dude. Escaping that extreme poverty, escaping the depths of hunger. Like that was his adversity. So him fighting Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world, he hasn't lost a fight. Yes, there's some adversity there, but it's not like do or die here. So, for Francis, he had nothing to really lose in this fight. That's why I think Francis came out so good, and just throwing great shots, throwing that great left hook that made Tyson Fury go down. I think, Francis, he just overcame all the adversity that he had to do. So I think, eventually, I think they should run this fight back. I think they should rematch it. Even though they have Tyson Fury fighting for the heavyweight champion in December, a couple months away, that's just like a slap in the face to Francis Ngannou. That makes me think that, hey, we just overlooked this opponent. That's how I think the Tyson Fury training camp was. Just, hey, we're going to overlook this guy. We're scheduled for the heavyweight champion in a couple months. This is just an expedition fight, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, he got outclassed, dude. Like, they should run this fight back. They should cancel the heavyweight champion fight in December for Tyson Fury, and they should run the Francis Ngannou back. That should be what's next, but obviously that's not how it's going to go. I would love to see a rematch next year, maybe next summer for this fight, but for Francis Ngannou-wise, obviously he's still in MMA. I'd love to see Francis Ngannou come back to the UFC. I just don't see it happening. I think Francis Ngannou and Dana White just have some type of beef. They have some type of disagreement where they can't agree to disagree here. So I don't know what it is, but I would love to see Francis Ngannou come back to the UFC. I mean, that would be great. I think the whole MMA community wants to do that. Obviously, he's with a different MMA community right now, but for Francis Ngannou, it's just like we want that fight. We want the mega fight, right? We want to see him fight for John Jones. That's what everybody wants to see. We would love to see this fight. We'd love to see Francis Ngannou versus John Jones this time next year. That'd be great. Obviously, John Jones out for 8 months. Won't fight till probably July next summer of 2024. He'll run through Stripe, and then after that, I think they should build this fight up for next year. The end of the next year of 2024, that'd be the mega fight everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see Francis Ngannou and John Jones fight, in the UFC. That'd be great. But that's a long shot right now, just how it went the past couple years. I just don't see it happening. But anything is possible in sports world, definitely in the fighting community and MMA. You just never know. I hope Francis Ngannou does something like that. And I think you never know. Francis Ngannou cashed out in this fight. He made more than he did probably in his UFC career. Let that sink in. So there's definitely some avenues there. But as far as this fight goes with Fury and Ngannou, I think Ngannou won. I really do, man. They robbed him. Clear robbery, clear as day. They're never going to give the MMA fighter. Now, if Ngannou would have knocked him out, that would have been different. Obviously, they would have had to give him the victory, but that was really Ngannou's only chance at this fight was to win by knockout, because I knew 100% if this fight was going to go to decision, the way the fight played out, they were definitely going to give it to Fury. They were always going to give it to Fury. They were going to give it to the boxer, dude. Like, it was a split decision, dude. It could have went either way. Obviously, they're going to lean towards Fury, but, Fury's fighting in a couple months for the heavyweight champion. But like I said, boxing isn't the same as it used to be. It's just not. Mike Tyson back in the days, Muhammad Ali, the George Foremans, Joe Frazier, like all these legends of the sport, like back in the day, they fought 15-round fights here. So when I see the expedition, a 10-round fight, some of these guys, some of these YouTube cats are fighting 8-round fights, and it's just like, dude, like, they would have never survived back in the day. 8-round fights, that's a warm-up. That's a warm-up, dude. Like, they're used to 12 to 15-round fights here. So a 10-round fight, I didn't understand this. Like, this should have easily been a 12-round fight. I don't think it would have changed the narrative that much, but still, 2 rounds, man, like, when you're, hurting, or you took a rib shot in a different way, you're just tired throwing so many punches, the last 2 rounds could be pivotal. Those are the championship rounds. We look at the UFC and say it's a 5-round fight from round 4 and 5. Those are the championship fights. So a 3-round fight is much different, dude. Like, there's levels to that. So there's just so many different things. But boxing, man, it's not the same anymore. It's just not, man. I mean, dude, Tyson Fury would have got knocked out by Mike Tyson. Clear as day. Would have got knocked out in the first round. And I understand his dad named him Tyson Fury because he loved Mike Tyson. There was some talking, to pre-fight, but that's what you do to sell the fight. You want to talk crap. You want to minimize your opponent either way you can. But at the end of the day, boxing just doesn't have that same atmosphere as it used to. It doesn't have that same anticipation like it did with Mike Tyson fights, man. Or like Manny Pacquiao fights or Floyd Mayweather fights. Those fights are gone. So, like, those superstars of those age, the early 2000s even, the later 2000s, those superstars are done. Like Pacquiao, Mayweather, so many great legends, it's done with. So boxing, I can see boxing eventually fading away, even though a lot of these MMA cats are going to boxing to fight for these big paydays. But at the end of the day, is it all just smoke here? We really don't know how much these guys are getting paid. They could say a random number, say, oh, yeah, I got 50 M's here. Like, we don't really truly know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be just all smoke here. So I just think overall, MMA won. They won. Mixed martial arts won overall this weekend. Not boxing. Boxing did not win here. Boxing literally told us that, hey, boxing's not really a real sport compared to MMA. That's what it showed us here. Boxing showed us you can only use 2 hands. You can't use other tools like MMA. So MMA is continuing to grow, continuing to take over, and I think eventually boxing, I know it sounds crazy, even though people say the money's in the boxing, I just think boxing in a way is slowly but surely just getting more weak, compared to MMA, compared to the UFC. The UFC is continuing to build its brand. People are going to the UFC. They want to fight in the UFC, but boxing continuing to just continue to go down. They continue to sink. I mean, expedition fights are trying to keep this fight. I mean, like Tommy Fury fighting Jake Paul, it's a joke, dude. Like, these guys aren't real fighters. Tommy Fury's one of the worst professional fighters I've ever seen, dude. Like, he's not that good. And he's fighting these guys here, man. I mean, shout out to KSI. I thought KSI beat Tommy Fury, like a YouTube cat. So, like, what is it saying? It's saying boxing isn't really that, like, the legit of a sport, dude. So, MMA won. Shout out to Francis Ngannou. I'd love to see Francis Ngannou back, run this fight back sometime in the spring. But overall, Francis definitely, I hope and wish he comes back to the UFC and fights that mega fight. Everybody wants to see it. Fight in Vegas in that new Sphere. Fight John Jones versus Francis Ngannou in the Sphere in Vegas, man. That'd be great, man. That'd be the mecca right there. That'd be the fight of arguably the decade or maybe even the century. That might be pushing it too much, but it'd definitely be the fight of the past couple decades. Francis Ngannou, John Jones next year before New Year's in 2024. That would be insane. But shout out to Francis Ngannou. Even though he got robbed, man, Francis Ngannou deserves all the credit. It's the Ngannou with Cam show. Let's go!